Hello, I'm Mary Yanez, Director of the Senior Adult Program, and this is Mature Living. What a great time, November. We've been having beautiful weather. There's also something very special that happens in November. And so we've invited Maria Esther Martinez, who is a performer, a singer here in El Paso for many, many years. And she was also an EPCC student, a graduate of El Paso Technical, a local young lady that has just really given us some great performances that we've enjoyed over the years. And so, and delighted, that's the word I was looking for, delighted us with her beautiful voice, a very sweet voice that she has. And I just want to share with you that we're going to be reminiscing of going back to the 1980s, mid-1980s, when the performance of a historical musical, Revolucion, was performed at the Chamizal. And so that's what we're going to be talking about, showing you a little bit of video of one special performance that Maria Esther has brought us. And well, let's see how it goes. Maria Esther, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mary. Good morning.
Good morning. And it's good to see you, you know, not only at the reunion for the El Paso Tech that we both attended, but also to think that we're still enjoying your music.
Thank you.
And I understand you're still performing with trios, and we'll give your phone number near the end there. Tell me a little bit about your youth and your younger days and how you got interested in singing and performing.
When I lived in Juarez, my aunt used to sing in Las Noches Rancheras, Bertalicia Chavez. And also my uncle and another friend of his, they had a trio called Los Romanceros. So I grew up with both types of music, romantic and ranchero. My aunt loved singing anything that had a falsete. She loved it. She was beautiful.
And the falsete is when your voice...
When you, like Miguel Aceves Mejia.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Beautiful.
Yes.
Falsetos. And so you're wearing a beautiful rebozo, a pendant of the times of the Revolucion. What year was that?
The Revolucion was back, it started before, but the accounting goes back and to where it finished in 1910. And it was, Pancho Villa was like the Robin Hood of Mexico, taking from the rich to giving to the poor. He made a lot of enemies on his way, but many people thank him for what he did.
Yes. And so you're wearing a rebozo that is very meaningful to you. Tell me about that.
My mother bought me this rebozo when I was about 3 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And it was for el 16 de septiembre. We would always go to the parades in Juarez. And she bought me this rebozo. And it was, I had wonderful times. My mother played the guitar.
Yes.
And she liked the boleros like my uncle did. And every time my uncle came to the house, of course, there was no food because they spent the whole day. ¿Y cómo me paso de este tono a este tono? ¿Y cómo me paso de este tono a este tono? He taught her how to fine-tune her guitar.
Yes.
And then she taught my father how to play the guitar, and then my father would come. But his style was very different.
Yes.
He called my mother Doña Cañón. And every time we went somewhere and there were musicians, he would always, cántenle a Doña Cañón la mula bronca.
Oh my gosh, because she sang so forcefully. And
because she was strong.
Strong voice. Now I understand you played a very special part in high school. Tell me about that briefly.
Well, I was always involved in the choir. And then Hector Serrano said, we're going to do West Side Story, and he had an audition. And I made it for the part of Maria.
Oh my goodness.
And it was a lot of hard work because he is very meticulous in what he does.
Yes. That's kind of a nice
said,
thing.
okay, if I can play the part of Maria in West Side Story, I can do anything.
How did you get involved with the Revolucion, that historical musical that we want to remember? Because we're going to be showing a little bit of bits of that video. Tell me about that and who started that. Who was the director?
Silvia
Camañez.
Camañez was teaching ballet folklorico, and she told Dr. Scarborough, I need some singers. So Dr. Scarborough told us about it, and of course, yo voy.
I'll go.
Yo voy. And it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. We had one gentleman there that knew everything about the Mexican Revolution, Gilberto Herrera.
Yes, I remember
Charro.
Gilberto. Beautiful singer as well.
He was a great singer.
Wonderful singer.
And
it was at the Chamizal.
it was at the Chamizal.
Yes.
And he got several charros involved.
Yes.
And it was just so beautiful. It was filmed by the El Paso Community College television station.
Cool.
And what I think was so beautiful is that they put cameras on top and you could see the dancers dancing around the floor, the synchronization of everybody's movements. They was beautiful.
Beautifully done. And so I would imagine it was narrated by someone that's very special and very well known at the time.
Yes. Alex Apostoletis. He was a narrator. He has this beautiful, deep voice. And he just talked and showed actual footage of the Mexican Revolution. He showed La Calle del Paso when he had his Dorados marching down the street. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see that. The trains where he explains that Pancho Villa used him as a Trojan horse to bring all his men, sneak all his men
in the train to bring him in to the north.
Yes.
To the north.
Well, I sang with Rubén Rodríguez a duo, Adiós al Soldado, because they had just killed one of the soldiers and they're bringing him in. And we sing Adiós, Adiós. And Socorro Villegas, she's such a great actress, the way she was just crying over his body. It was beautiful.
Horas después, cuando la negra noche cubrió de luto los campos de batalla, a la luz de un vivac pálido y triste, un joven expiraba.
Se divisa la misteriosa sombra
And
que se detiene.
everybody did their best. The train was painted by Magda Garcia.
Wonderful.
Magda Garcia was a wonderful composer, arranger.
She did sets. She worked on sets.
Yes, she did all the sets for the different programs. And nobody knows that Magda Garcia, who lived all her life here in El Paso, is la sobrina de Loco Valdez,
Wow. Amazing.
the
What a
great
talent.
comedian in Mexico.
She was a songwriter, and I understand you came in at the OTI, the Mexican.
Yes, and with
competition.
one of Silvia's songs, not Silvia, I'm sorry, one of Magda's songs, we got second place.
Wow.
And for another OTI, we opened up the entertainment with mariachi, and I sang, and she made us the arrangement with parts of songs de Juan Gabriel, because El OTI is about composers. And she said, el compositor más famoso y más exitoso que hemos tenido en esta región ha sido
Juan Gabriel.
Juan Gabriel.
Beautiful. You know, we wonder, tell me a little bit about that surprise for the audience when the Charros did something special and they put you on a horse. Tell me about that. We have about 3 minutes left.
They didn't like the hat I was wearing. So when they plopped me on the horse, I felt my head go back because they removed the hat that I had and they put another one on. And they pushed me out. And right before then, Jorge Uribe had sang another song about a horse that he was in the firing squad and he was against the wall. And they asked him for one last wish. And he said, I want to see my horse. Well, the horse ran between the firing squad and him and saved his life. And after that, the horse comes out. And I sing El Siete Leguas.
a devolver la frontera.
Well, thank you for staying with us here on Mature Living. We want to continue our conversation, and we've invited Rick Lobato. He is the executive director of our physical plant here at the El Paso Community College, and I don't remember interviewing him before. So it's a good time to talk about master plan, all the beautiful buildings that the college has built over the years, and maybe even some future projects. So thank you for being with us,
Well,
Rick.
thank you for inviting me. This is a pleasure.
I see you walking around and staying busy, all your wonderful staff, that you have, the employees with physical plant. There's so much to talk about because you are an essential program, an essential department for the institution. And during the pandemic, as you could tell me a little bit what happened with your department. I know we were sent home. Mm-hmm. There were no students. Nobody could come to gather. And so we did a lot of work from home.
Well, before I get started with that, and it's a very good topic because we were very busy during the pandemic.
Yes.
But I do want to take the opportunity to say, yes, we are blessed with a very wonderful staff. They're always willing to help out wherever they can and do the extra miles. So I just want to say thank you to all of them because without them,
Yes.
the physical plant would be nothing. It's the people that do the work that keep everything going.
That's it. And you know what? We need to pay homage to them and to thank them. You're right. How many employees do you have working in your department?
Total, my department has about 55. We stay at about 55. We move up and down. Right now, we have a few unfilled positions that we're trying to fill, and little by little, we'll get them done as well.
Good, good.
But to get back into your question, yes, the pandemic was a surprise to all of us. I remember it was spring break, 2019, I believe. And, we had all gone home for the spring break, just like everyone else. And I remember getting a phone call during this period saying that we weren't going to return the next week. So we had to get up, and I called all the people and said that. And I don't think it was met with a lot of heartbreak at the time.
Yes.
But, then the following week, I think everybody had a chance to gather all the information they needed. And we were deemed an essential function, of course, because
Yes.
my people cannot work from home. You can't change filters from home. You can't check circuits from home. You can't clean the grounds from home. So all of our people returned to work. So realistically, we're off 1 week, and for the entire pandemic, for the most part, all of our people were here the entire time. We did have some administrative staff that would move in and out. However, it's kind of a mixed blessing when you look at that. I mean, I don't mean to call the pandemic a blessing. It was tragic, of course. But
Yes.
from our side, it was an opportunity to get a lot of work done without having students or faculty and staff here.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, for example, we couldn't come in here and paint this area just today and do it because you have things you have to do.
Yes.
Well, with people gone, we did go ahead, and our guys started painting hallways, repairing things inside offices that we couldn't normally get to.
Yes, yes.
So we did do a lot of projects. We replaced a lot of flooring during that time. We did a lot of roofs at the time. What other projects did we do? A lot of air conditioning related projects. And we were blessed because we had the support of not only administration, but we had the support of the board funding us to get all this work done.
Yes.
A lot of my colleagues in Texas didn't have that opportunity because it was a time of unknown. They didn't know what they were going to do with funds and that. But thankfully, thanks to Josette Shaughnessy, we did have the funds in reserve to make sure we could move forward with this.
How wonderful.
So we took advantage of this to get the buildings in better condition for when people did return.
The master plan. Tell me about that.
The master plan initially, I think I started it. The initial work on it started in 2015. And we went out, of course, and selected an architect to help us with the master plan. They developed the master plan. And what that master plan did was take a look at the whole entire El Paso area, look at the predictions on populations, and kind of get an idea of what campuses needed what buildings. So we went from there. Once that was determined, then we went ahead and we went into design for each building. We had different architects for each building, but a total of 5 buildings were put up through our 5 campuses. I believe Rio Grande got one. It's a beautiful building.
I haven't been there. I need to go.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about it. It's gorgeous. All of the buildings are gorgeous. Villa Verde got two. You got the TTC, which is a Transportation Training Center, and it is state of the art. It is gorgeous.
I went to
we
that
also
grand
got the
opening.
ATC.
Another
which is-
grand opening.
Oh, it's
Arts, Science, and Technology.
ASC, yes, AST. I apologize.
AST, yeah.
Art, Science, and Technology, and another gorgeous building that was designed out of Phoenix.
Oh my gosh.
I believe it's 101,000 square feet. Probably our biggest building when you look at classroom facilities. There's more square footage at Rio Grande, but 5 floors of that are garage.
Oh.
And the top 2 are classroom facilities, which is about 65,000 square feet on top there. Mission del Paso, they got the R building, which is another building about 65,000 square feet. Gorgeous building. It just fits in with the rest of the campus. And that's one thing we did try and do when we talked with architects. We said each campus has a culture. We got to try and maintain that culture. So the building, you can tell it's modern, you can tell it's new, but it still fits the culture of the campus.
Yes.
You know, you don't always have the opportunity to do these. You can get bogged down in daily maintenance, which is very important. I never want to skirt that.
Yeah.
In fact, that is the one thing that I think we really need to concentrate on. But the flip side of that, sometimes you have to expand. And this was an opportunity we grabbed and we took. Getting back to the buildings, all state of the art. You know, the campuses really needed this. I'm so proud of the way they look and the way they fit into the campus. We're still working on some of them. We mentioned COVID. COVID had an adverse effect on the construction at that time because a lot of the workers that were working for the contractors did get sick. They caused delays. Materials, we're still facing the material shortage where we just can't seem to get what we want. That affected the tail end of the contract as well.
Yeah.
So some of the campuses still have a couple of buildings that are holding out. We don't have them entirely closed out financially, but we will soon.
That's wonderful. You know, you all are doing a great job, and the employees are so great to us at the department level. We see them working, and they don't seem to stop. Physical plant setting up for conferences, and people love our facilities. People come from different organizations to have their events, you know, here. Of course, and of course all of us that are working here, we have the Love Conference, we have the Christmas show coming up.
Yeah, all this.
And
It's a very busy time of the year for us.
Yes, it is. It's beautiful. You know, one of the things that I did want to mention is, were there any deferred things in maintenance that you had to deal with?
All campuses have what's called deferred maintenance. It's deferred maintenance is a term which really refers to maintenance that has been backlogged and cannot get to, because let's just face it, nobody is funded 100% to do everything you need. You know, I'll admit the physical plant, we're short of some personnel. As I mentioned before, we haven't been able to fill all the positions. But deferred maintenance is not a bad thing that you look at. It's something you prefer not to have, but every facility has it.
Yes.
So what we did is, as I said, during the pandemic, since we didn't have people here and we had the support of the board to finance some of these, we replaced a lot of equipment. We fixed roofs, we fixed floors, sewer lines were replaced, things that you couldn't do with people here.
That's right.
So, you know, from a deferred maintenance standpoint, the campuses are in a better condition now than they were 3 years ago.
Very good.
You know what? We are always chipping away at that.
Yes.
We have projects that we're always looking at replacing air conditioning units that are getting old. You know, some of our campuses are 40 years plus.
And we have 5 campuses.
5 campuses and administrative service. If you want to look at that in a nutshell, we're talking about 2.2 million square feet of buildings. That's quite a lot.
Yes.
And then over 400 acres of land that we own.
You have to cover.
Yeah. And yes, the physical plant is responsible for the maintenance operations of all those buildings.
Yes.
Plus the lands.
We want more students. You know, we're still.
Well, I know that we're
that.
still working on getting students to return from after the pandemic, and I think the numbers are looking better, a lot better than they had been. But you bring up a good point. You know, the master plan, the goal of that was to have modern buildings with modern facilities to draw these students.
State of the art, they call it.
State of the art, and they are. If you go to the R building and you go to the 7th floor, start walking around there, you'd think you were in a hospital.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, the facilities are beautiful.
That's at Rio
They look-
Grande.
and as far as I know, I'm no expert on the medical facilities, but they're able to simulate real life experience. The dummies they have are incredible. They look like they're alive.
Okay. Yes.
So, you know,
and these nurses and
and
medical
the students
professionals
are really
were putting
taking
out.
advantage of that. I've heard good comments
Good,
from them.
very.
Actually, I've heard good comments about all the buildings. They all have their specialty that the students are really into, the one thing they really like.
Yes. Now, in the future, is there anything new coming up or
Well, in
something
the
you're working on
future-
with your area?
Well, we're always working on on future projects, and it's mainly maintenance projects,
Okay.
because that is our bread and butter. We have to keep all these outlet, 2.2 million square feet operating, keeping people safe, comfortable, and enjoying coming to work.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that, and we thank all of your 55 or more employees that you have, and it's a time to be grateful and grateful for each other's work and dedication. Really.
You know, the time. Well, it's the close of the year, and you're right. It's a time to be thankful for everything you have. And you know, I think we're all thankful that we have a job.
Yes.
And number one, and it's great to have a job, but even better when you have a job you really enjoy coming to. And the college is just the best place to start, the best place to finish, and the best place to work.
That's it. It's wonderful. And you know, you have that attitude of loving your job and loving to come to work, and just your employees are super. And we're grateful to their hard work and for your hard work.
I can't say enough about my employees, or all the employees from the college for that standpoint.
Yes.
You know,
you're right.
they do a lot of work for the community, and that's what we're here for. In the end, we're here for the students.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for being here on Mature Living to share with our community what you're working on, what you've accomplished. Great accomplishments. And they need to come to our campus. And those grandmas and grandpas out there, they need to tell their grandkids to come to the college, and their sons and daughters, because we're still here. And that's our business.
It's great value.
I guess we'll see you all next week. Mature Living with more interesting guests.